Bienvenidos al quinto Congreso Mundial de Sexología Médica. Este congreso es patrocinado por
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. All depends where you are now. Since this is a video conference, you could be listened from the commodity of your home or your office anytime. My name is Dr. Fernando Bianco. I am the president of the World Association for Medical Sexology. I am going to share with you one of our works that we have been for a long time working in this, to try to get a classification of the sexual disorders, diseases, alterations. We found that the word syndrome seemed to be that is suitable for everyone. So we this work is not my own. Many people have collaborated in this work. You see the book DMC3, the clinical classification. You will find at least 100 people have been given their advice and their observation. Well, now we are in this point. We hope to start next year to review, to make the edition number 4 of the DMC classification. Is MDC in Spanish, Manual Diagnóstico de Sexología. In English is Diagnostic Manual of Sexology. And the third, because it's the third edition. As I told you before, this paper is many people have contributed. In this time, Dr. Cáceres, Dr. Delgado, Dr. Albanese Galea, Dr. Aparori, and Dr. Ramirez are helping in presentation, and I make some observation which is very important. We have a way to see the sexology and to define, conceptualize sexology as the science that study two main areas: the sex development process and the sexual function. The sex and sexual function. Both areas, we see it as a process. And then we call sex development process and sexual function process. If we go to this sex development process of sex development, any process has phases, and those phases has factors which determine those phases. So, in the process of sex development, or development process, sex process, we found programming phase and differentiation phase and expression phase. The programming phase is when the ova join the ovule join the spermatozoid, and they make a eggs and zygote or zygote, and this will have a chromosome formula. The female egg ovule get 23 chromosomes, and the spermatozoid give in 23 chromosomes. 22 of those chromosomes will be equal as a pair, and the pair number 23 is a different one, XY or X. And this happened in the first 8 weeks after this union of the ovule and the spermatozoa. And there are something called the cascade that will help in this process. When the chromosome situation is already programming, then they will say to the primordial cell, or either you make me a testicle or you will make me an ovary. And then the second phase started, this differentiation phase, which is fundamental hormone oriented and transcription factor oriented. And then this testicle will secrete testosterone-like substance and will make the genital tubercle to make evolution and to make a penis and to make a scrotum and all of these spermatozoa pathway in the brain, or is the formula is the 23 chromosome formula is XX, you will find that will go to make an ovary, and this ovary will secrete substance that will make the genital tubercle to go to create a vulvar, son, vaginal, and all the uterus, and all these different situations. So this phase lasts until you're born. And then the differentiation is not only a genital, this differentiation is in the brain and the different pathways of the brain, the mammalian lines, and you're born as a male, as a female, or you may have a variant in your genitalia. And in that moment, the expression phase started. What is the expression phase? Well, this newborn is going to learn many things, many behaviors, attitudes, and he will show that what we see in the environment, everyday life, is diversity. Such a diversity is such a, you may say, diversity. You have a male with very masculine behavior, female with female behavior, male with effeminate behavior, female with male behaviors. You have a metrosexual, transgender, female. Well, you may have a large variety, a large variety of expression, because the interaction, like we will see later on, between the physiology and socioculture allow you to express in many forms. This is what is called process of sex development, or the sex development process. Remember, 3 phases: programming, differentiation, and expression. And then we will have pathology here, and pathology here. Or you may have alteration or disorder, whatever you want to call it. The second area of the field of sexology is the sexual function. And we talk about sexual function process, or process of sexual function. These have the following components. One is the quality, is called to the sexual desire, which is a property that the process has, inborn. It's a condition that we, the human being have, the condition to get excited, or to inhibit whatever excitation, or sometimes to be very excited and then stop it. This is what is called the wanting. When you want to have sex, the desire is a quality of the sexual function process. It's a condition, something that is inborn. It's yours. Nobody can take it from you. Then you have the sexual situation, the stimulus situation part. And you get a stimuli, which is 3 different factors which are very important. With whom, and you are going to get stimulation with another man and a female. What method you will use? Your hands, your smelling, your taste. Which method to get excited? And then the frequency. How many times you do the sexual function, and you actually do. One thing is that you want to wish to have it. The one thing that is the desire. And another thing is that you really do it. Different thing. And what is it, the frequency of wanting. Another thing is the frequency of doing. Different. And then you have the response phase, which has several different factors: anatomical, neural, hormonal, vascular, endothelial, functional, many. And as you will see, you may have some different alteration there. And then you have the last part of this sexual function process is the time of sexual function. How much lasts between the beginning and the end. Then we have here a condition, which is the quality. We have 2-phase stimulation response and a time. How we are going to define, to conceptualize alteration? When the process of sexual development and sexual function process presents changes in their essence or form that will compromise the functioning, alteration is established. Then it's very important. It's an alteration of the functioning in the sex development and sexual function process. In the essence or in the form. Then we talk about alteration. And that will express in a very characteristic syndrome that we will see it. Many people call this alteration the function pathology, whatever you want to call it. No? The important thing is that there are symptoms, signs, syndromes that we have to try to classify. So the clinical syndromes in medical and clinical sexology, medical sexology, sexual medicine, whatever you want to call it, is that you will have diagnosis, clinical syndrome, diagnosis at the sex development process. And you have diagnosis in the sex function process. And you will have other diagnoses associated in sexology. Let's start. In the sex development process, you will have diagnosis at the programming phase. What happens in the programming phase? Well, you have an alteration when your chromosome pair 23 do not get the right formula. For example, in this 45XO disorder of sex development, it's called the Turner syndrome. You are one chromosome is missing. Or in the 47XXY syndrome, called before the Klinefelter syndrome. You have an extra chromosome. You may add here, if you want, the super male and the super female. Then remember, in the programming phase, we have two syndromes. If we go to this differentiation phase, then we have to take in consideration something very important. If your formula is 46XY or is 46XX, and those who have 46XY formula, what they call it 46XY disorder of sex development, you may have alteration due to disorder in the gonadal development, or you may have disorder in the synthesis of the andron and the andron synthesis, like we see later on. Then when the problem is in this gonadal development, you will have the complete gonadal dyskinesia, that is called the Sauer syndrome, or you have the partial gonadal dyskinesia, the gonadal regression, and the ovotestis, for ovotestis 46XX. When you have problem in the androgen synthesis and its effects, you will have the deficit, the effect in the biosynthesis of androgen, or you have an alteration in the action of the androgen. When the alteration is complete, is what is called the Kai syndrome. It's the insensitivity syndrome. Or you may have a partial syndrome that they are not total or partial. And you have alteration in the L-luteinizing hormone receptor, but you have alteration in the anti-Mullerian hormone receptor. So you have, you may have several in this androgen synthesis and its effect. But when the formula is 46XX, no 46XY, then you have alteration in the gonadal development, endovarian, gonadal development. Then you have the ovotestis 46XX, which is different than 46XY, okay? What is ovotestis? You have a testicular ADS syndrome, and you have the gonadal dyskinesia syndrome. Then remember, when we talk about alteration in the differentiation phase, we are to subdivide in 46XY and 46XX. In the 46XX disorder, we may have two androgen XX alteration due to an XX of the androgen, which may come from the fetals, may come from the fetal placental zone, or from the maternal androgen. So there you have a nice schema. Then we go to this expression phase. We cannot say that there are pathology or disorder or alteration in the expression phase. The expression phase is expression phase. And what do you express? Well, you express your continual interaction between you as a human being and the environment. And you have plenty of variability. However, and this is to it mainly because we have the hypothesis that the brain have a capacity, like like you say, we'll talk about what is being smart. Being smart is a capacity to join abstract concept and to get a solution. These are capacity that have the brain. Well, here is the capacity of construct. What are you going to construct? A phenotype pattern of behavior. And how do you get this phenotype pattern? Because the physiology, the interaction of physiology and sociocultural environment, the brain has the ability to order, to keep in the fashion that he may be ordered interaction in order that you get and you arrange this expression phenotypic pattern. Then we have this hypothesis, the construction as a special capacity of the brain. And you may have this, and among the impressions you may have, male with a male behavior, female with a female behavior, male with a feminine behavior, male woman with male behavior, metrosexual, transgender, transsexual, she-male, he-male, ladyboy, hiras, a variety of diversity. The only thing that we may say in the expression phase that could be, that is a pathological thing, is when you are in your phenotypic expression pattern is imposed. It's imposed. By mistake, you're born boy and then you are confused and they say that you are a female and then and you have been raised as a female and then they found that it's not female, it's a boy. Or when you impose a pattern by sociocultural environmental. And when you like happen with the Albanian virgins, when the female in families where there were no brother, then the oldest female was obliged to act and take the male role. So if you take these two only out of the consideration, you cannot say that you have pathology in the gender process. You are no pathology. Then remember, we have problems in the programming phase, problem in differentiation phase, and problem in the expression phase. It's very important. Now we go to the second part, the second area. It's the process of sexual function. So remember, the process has 4 different characteristics. This quality of sexual desire, property of the inborn property of the sexual function process. You have the problem and level of the stimulus phase, problem, situation, and level of the response phase. Excuse me. And problem in the sexual function time. If we go to this quality, remember the concept is very important. It's something inborn that you have since the moment that you're born until you die. Your capacity to get excited when you feel wanting to make sex. This is what is called desire. And something, and this capacity to get excited is something that belong to this process that allow you to get activated, to get desactivated, to get activated again, to not get activated. So then you may have what they call inhibit quality or quality of sexual desire, hypoactive quality of sexual desire, hyperactive quality of sexual desire, or desactive quality of sexual desire. Then you may be inhibit, hyperactive, hyperactive, or you could be disactivated, or you could be desactivated. And that's very important. This is the only fourth thing that you can get at the desired level. If you go to the stimulation, sexual stimulation part, you remember that you have three factors there. You have the administration, you have the method, and you have the frequency. Administration, second, and factor. And then if you go to the administration, the concept of alteration, that when in the essence, remember, the essence is altered. And the essence get in the function, in this occasion. The essence is that you fix yourself to a special type of administration. With boys, pedophilia, with animals, zoophilia, with clothing, fetishism, with some part of the body, with older people, with young people, two people, with dead tissue, with urine, with feces, with dirt, with pornography, with females, with singerphilia. You only get excited in groups. So you have to be sure in which one you are. And it's different when they in the method that you have the problem. When they in the method, then you need to inflict pain or to get pain. Or you need to expose yourself in surprising behavior. You need to watch without being seen. Or you need to wear clothing of the other sex. Or you need to have enemas. Or using the finger, the finger of the hand to your anus or to your vagina. Or you get excited to using the phone. Or getting lack of air. Or in order to get an orgasm, you have to need a special part of your body has to be getting the stimulation. Or you need to be frotteur, like the people who go in the bus, in the metro, and then, they get in this situation. And the other part is when the last part of the sexual stimulus situation phase is in the frequency. When your frequency is too high or your frequency is too low. And in the special syndrome, in the frequency is the sexual function addiction. Here the subject cannot function, has to keep looking for her sexual encounters, alone or with somebody else. Different from when you are too low in your frequency, when you get activated, you do sexual once every 2 months, every 2 months, then it's quite different. Okay. Well, the problem is in the response now. If the problem is in the response, we are going to use the Master and Johnson didactic model. This model is a very pure model. It's not contaminated. For that reason, we use it. Because it's very simple. You get excited first, and then you maintain your excitation. Then you get your orgasm, and then you make it to the resolution phase. So you will have problem in getting excited. You have problem, or you may have problem maintaining your excitation, or you may have problem obtaining orgasm, or you may have problem in your resolution phase. It's very easy. For that reason, we are using the didactic Master Johnson model. What happens? The problem in the excitation. If the problem is the excitation, you will have the arousal subjective disorder, or you may have the erectile dysfunction. Here, you are unable to get the pleasure of being excited. You're excited, you don't notice, you don't feel your excitation. Here, you're unable to get an erection. Or here in type 1 orgasmic dysfunction, you are unable to have to get excited. Or in el persistent arousal disorder that you keep getting excited. Or you have an excess of lubrication during excitation phase. Or you have pain in your very hypersensitivity glands. Or you have deficit in your lubrication. Or you have a hypertonia in the pubocoxal muscles. Is what it will call vaginismus. When your muscle get so tight that you are unable to get inside the vagina. Then this problem are in the excitement phase. That's different than if you go to the plateau phase. In the plateau phase, what you will find is a syndrome where the you have a hypotonic pubocoxal muscles, lo que llaman the flaccid vagina, or you may have Peyronie's disease, or you may have priapism. It's what you have there, which is different from the problem in the orgasmic phase. The problem in the orgasmic phase is when you get excited, you maintain your excitation, but you cannot have an orgasm. You have an orgasmic adonia that you don't feel the pleasure of orgasm, or when you have an orgasm, you have no pleasure. You don't feel the pleasure. You have it, but you don't feel the pleasure. When you have the type 2 orgasmic dysfunction, you get excited, you maintain your excitation, but you cannot come. Or when you have an ejaculatory dysfunction, you get an erection, you maintain the erection, but you cannot come. Then the problem is the orgasmic phase. And then you may have problem in the resolution phase. You have the excessive prolonged refractory period that you see in some men, who do not last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe last 24 hours before getting excited again. You may have a postcoital euphoric syndrome, or postcoital dysphoric syndrome, or postcoital headache. It's very important. More female than male get headache, severe headaches after they have an orgasm. Or you may have fever, 39 degrees centimeter degree. It's really, really hard. I mean, fever. So we review the sex development process problem, the sexual function problem. But it's good to don't forget that we have a problem in the time. Excuse me, we finished. We have to finish with this one. The time. Sometimes you have a very rapid time to respond and to conclude your cycle. It's called the premature ejaculation in male and the premature orgasm in female. Or you have a very delayed orgasm. A delayed ejaculation or delayed orgasm is problem in the function. See that it's important that we can, one is the time of functioning and what is the response. In the premature ejaculation, your response is complete, but it's too quick. But it's complete. You have no problem in the response. Like the people say that the premature ejaculation is a response problem. No, it's not a response. It's a time problem. And basically, it's a control problem. And nothing to do with response. It's the control. The velocity of the nerve. Okay. But when you finish to review the sexual function problem, you have to now we have to talk something that's very important in sexual function is pain. Pain that appears during the sexual function process. We use, in order to explain the pains, and we have a book in that. What is the precoital pain? Precoital, the pain that appears during your before you try to have an introduction and finish and to get an orgasm. That pain is a pain that is, generally speaking, you may have in the scrotal lesion, or you have problem in the vulvar zone, and give you a scrotal pain or in the head of the penis, or you may have vulvogynia. This pain is different pain from the pain that appears in the coital part. The pain of the vaginismo is when you go inside, or the pain of the dry vagina is after you get in, you start to have pain, or the pain from the problem in the deep organs, the vessels problem, is the pain that appears during coital thrust, or the pain that appears in the post-coital period. You finish and half an hour after the pain starts. Then it's good to know where the pain is, because are different pain with different clinical thing, and we cannot join that thing together. And they are then that we review sexual function, we review sexual function process, diagnostic that should suggest condition in sexology, or another condition that go and alter sexual function. The syndrome that are very important in clinical sexology is the aversion, the sexual aversion. People who is have a special of they rejects to have any kind of sexual contact. It's not a phobia, huh? Different from a phobia. This is a rejection. This is no. It's more conceptual. But there are other people who have phobia to the sex among men or among females. This is homophobia. People who have phobia to heterophobia, to heterosexual phobia. People who have phobia to vaginal or anal penetration. People who have phobia to the penis or phobia to the vagina. And one thing is the phobia per se, and another thing is the aversion. There are other parts when some of the basic brain function are lesioned, like in Korov syndrome, with the feeling that your penis is going to shrink into your tummy, or when you feel that you have the idea that your penis is too small, or you have these sexual manias. What sexual mania? You had like too many other things before you go into sex. It's like a ritualistic behavior, but the annoying anxiety associate. It has to be very peculiar syndrome. Only people who make sex during sleeping and do not know, have no memory or recollection about it. Was that when you have the post-traumatic sexual stress, like you have when you have been abused or you have violation. And in the other syndrome, it's very important to have present is the sexual dysfunction caused by the attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity. Dr. Garcia in Dominican Republic have a nice data about this situation. And we may find too in clinic people who have deficit in the courtship, excuse me, or deficit in the coital period. When you're going to do the coital thing, you have problem, you're skilled there. Or problem, you have marital situation, marital discord. And the last is when you have some kind of endocrinal alteration, like in the late testosterone deficit syndrome, the late onset, or when you have the menopausal syndrome. And there is a specific situation that you have to look in clinical sexology. Type 1 couple selective sexual discrimination. People who say, I cannot, I only are able to have sex with my wife or my partner. Or people say, I cannot do sex with my partner, but I can do sex with somebody else. People who say, I am able to have an orgasm with my partner. People who may say to you during masturbation, when she tries to masturbate, I cannot make it. Or people who say, well, you know, I like almost every day, but she like once a week. That's some discrepancy of sexual frequency. Or well, you have a discrepancy in the schedule. You like in the morning and she like in the afternoon. You like at night and she like in the early morning. Or when you're unable to finish your marriage. When you consummate marriage, you're unable to get inside. Because there are vaginismo, you have an impotence, but the marriage there are plenty of love, but they are unable to have. Or you have this sexual monotony in couple. Hernandez worked too much in this. Is when the couple that has been for 20 years married get bored doing sex. Get bored. It's too much monotony. And the frequency decrease. So, all of this idea began 1970, and this is when the Bianco Tower was built, and this is the place of the Bianco sexual school of thought, where this physiological sexual variant is the key main doctrinal idea, which it has been applied for us to sex and sexual function. And there are different books that we have read. And what we will be talking about here is this book, the classification, which we hope to start in the next edition next year, or follow. Keep following. If you have any question, please we'll be happy to answer you. We'll be happy to contact us. We're happy. And I really, I hope that you enjoy the Congress. As a president of the Congress, we are very happy that we're getting too many response and too many interventions, and we're very happy. So share with us. Remember that the Congress will be on until January 31st. You can review the conference, and you know, have a nice time, and we'll see each other soon. Bye-bye.
Este congreso es patrocinado por